You are Jameson because you're here.
Ông udah di dia sih dah nanti.
Oh, udah jadi.
About 7 minutes outside the city of Hamilton. These buildings over on the left-hand side. This street that we're driving on is known as Church Street. There are more than 9 churches on this one street. Also known as the heart of Hamilton here on Church Street. The white building in front of us is the Bermuda City Hall, built in 1958. Not where the original place where the City Hall used to be. The original City Hall was built where the car park is today. That burned down in 1957, and by the end of 58 they built this beautiful building here. Inside the City Hall there's an amphitheater for the performing arts. There's also an art gallery up there. Also a museum up there at the City Hall. There's coming up on the left-hand side is the Hamilton Cathedral, Anglican. It is the state church. It took them roughly about 30 years to complete this masterpiece. Some of the stone, especially around the windows and doors, was brought in from a place called Ipswich in England. And they were going to do the whole building, but it was cost effective, so they used limestone. The stained glass in there will tell the story of Christ from his birth all the way to his descent to the heavens. If a member of parliament's got to be sworn in or dies or even gets married, it would happen there at the Hamilton Cathedral, the state church. U.S. Attorney General. Started off in education and moved her way up the political field. Now this morning I talked to you about the hanging of those two guys, Buck Burrows and Larry Tacklin, when we were leaving the dockyard. And I remember telling you that riots broke out all over the island. Well, to the 17th century. Businesses such as restaurants, nightclubs, beauty salons upon beauty salons can all be found on Good Street. Up until about 20 years ago, this was the drug capital of the island. Yeah, everything you wanted, if you were a druggie, could be found here. Well, they've done a lot of cleaning up in the last 20 years and a very comfortable place to come and visit now. Drugs, I guess, anywhere in the world plagues the community. We had our share, and I believe we've got it pretty much under control right now. The drug inside where the winds and surf actually forced them out. We found the car 2 days later, a half-mile past those pylons. Their bodies were never found. Today, during hurricanes or if the winds go over 40 miles an hour, we'll shut this bridge down. We don't care what side you gotta go on, you're not coming up. Looking to the right, there's a yellow church there. That was the first Methodist church built outside of St. George's, 1616. And still being used today. Yep. The two buildings coming up on the replicated, but the building behind the church dates back to 1614, 1615, and still being used today. Also been given the title Her Majesty's Chapel. I would advise you guys when I drop you off, come back and take a look inside. Sterling in there that have touched the lips of Princess Diane and also Prince Charles are on display up there. Old Bermuda cedar work is there as well. How are you doing, girlfriend? Whoa. do not come to this church. Bad luck has hit it twice. Lightning struck the steeple and has fallen right in the middle of the pews. So don't go there. Now, if you're getting married, the lady will get dropped off where I was just now. Guys, you know where we will be at the altar. Well, remember last week you guys were arguing? She wanted plans.
The only thing we do ask is that you don't drink any alcohol before the viewing. Right? By viewing, I mean the glass bottom portion, okay? Yeah, we used to do it before the viewing and it made it a lot better, you know, because the fish were bigger and they were brighter color and you saw two of everything. Yeah. You had alcohol and people and the equation doesn't always come out as planned, right? You get people jumping into the glasses, they get attached to the fish, and they're like, I love you fishes. We had a guy last season, he was drunk before he even got on the boat, and then he just kept drinking the whole way out. He was downstairs doing our glass bottom thing, and we heard a splash over the side. Yeah, that happens at night, right? Because the predators, they come out and they feed at night. Then the guy decided it'd be a good idea to swim under the glass. Yeah. How it worked. The last winter of that war, George Washington had the British surrounded, and you guys are going to win the war. The problem was is that you'd run out of gunpowder. Not very effective when you're trying to fight a war, right? How we got involved was Britain had put an embargo on us. We weren't allowed to trade with the Americans because we were at war. The problem with this is that's where all of our food came from. You guys, right? So we were starving. Being starving people, it didn't really take much to entice us to switch to the other side. Right? And that's exactly what happened. George Washington had old British admirals that had defected from the British Navy and gone over to work with him. And he found out about a very poorly guarded gunpowder storage cavern that we had here down in St. George's. So what he did was he wrote a letter addressed to not insurance either. Shorts. No. First ever. Did you? All right, well, I'll give you some ships a year by hand was just way too much work for us. So we sat down and we thought about it. I'm like, you know what? These pirates, they got a nice life, right? They get to travel the world, always drunk. They got all this gold and all this silver to buy our ships. So we thought about becoming pirates. But that's a lot of work too, right? Because you got to get an eye patch and a peg leg and you got to train a parrot, right? Yeah, you got it. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Out here on the west end, there's an area known as Wreck Hill. And what we used to do is have a king got word of this and he didn't like it, right? British colony, a bunch of pirates in the field and all. So he wanted to hang everybody involved. But the problem was is that he was 3,000 miles away. He did this at night. So what he said was,
as well as the eels. We have 3 eels, the spotted eel, the green eel, and the honeycomb eel. So you may see one of those 3 guys peep their heads out tonight, all right? Now also you may see, if you see a little clear bubble next to any of the coral reefs, that is actually a sac that the parrotfish blows and he actually sleeps in. So that locks his scent in and a predator can pretty much swim right past him and he's not going to eat him because he can't smell it, all right? But I'll get into the parrotfish a little bit later, all right? No? All right, well, the reason for that is because Bermuda is the most northern reef system in the entire world. We are actually closer to Canada than we are to the Caribbean. Nova Scotia is just 700 miles to the north of us. Bahamas is 1,000 miles south of us. So we are considered a subtropical place, which means we do get a winter time. It's not a winter like a lot of you guys experience, you know, that 10 below and 5 feet of snow. Yeah, we don't get those temperatures here. But our bone-chilling winter temperatures here in Bermuda, they go down into the low 60s. Yeah, so it's pretty treacherous down here in the winter time in my shorts. Now in the summertime, the temperature goes up into the high 80s. So our water temperature actually goes through a 20 to 30 degree temperature fluctuation. Now this is the reason we don't get those bright, vibrant colors. Those colors need 80 to 85 degree temperature of water all year round to maintain and sustain those colors. That's why we have a more neutral-based color system here in Bermuda. Now, here in Bermuda we have two types of coral. We have hard and soft coral. Now an example of the hard coral, you're going to see a round object. It's mustard in color. Looks like it has lines and grooves like a brain. Anybody want to take a look and guess what we call that?
Brain coral.
The brain coral, that's correct. Now here in Bermuda we keep our naming scheme really simple. It's pretty much as simple as you're going to find it. If you explain it, you've pretty much named it. Alright? Starting with my name. Smell. Yeah, although I've had it for about 15, 20 years, I still don't know why. Now we also have an example of the soft coral. You're going to see another round object. It's also yellow in color, but it's a little brighter in yellow. Looks very lumpy, almost looks like the head of a cauliflower. Any lucky guesses? The cauliflower coral, that's correct. You guys see where I'm going with this naming scheme, right? Yeah, we can pretty much do this all day, alright? Now we also have one down there that is burnt orange in color. It grows in a branch-like form, has little white tips on the end, looks like a fire under the water. Any guesses? Fire coral, that is correct, that is correct. You're also going to see one that is purple in color. It lives in the sea, and it looks like a fan. Any guesses? It's purple, lives in the sea, looks like a fan. I like that one, Barney. The purple sea fan. Pretty simple, huh? Purple lives in the sea, looks like a fan. The purple sea fan. Now last but not least, we have the sea rod or the sea whip, or as the locals like to call them, the sea fingers. Now these guys appear in two different colors, shapes, and sizes, alright? And they're actually pretty cool. They go through a 12-hour feeding and sleeping cycle. So they feed for 12 hours, they sleep for 12, they feed for another 12, and then they sleep for another 12. Sounds familiar? Kind of like you guys in your cruise ship right now? Yeah, it's called vacation time, man. That's how it's supposed to be, alright? Now when the sea rod are feeding, they're going to be very long, thick, brown, and fluffy. Looks like an oversized cattail, just like these here, alright? Now when they are sleeping, they're also going to be very long, but they're going to appear to be thin, smooth, and purple or grayish in color. That's when you know they're sleeping. Now most people think that coral is a plant. Well, you're half right. It's a plant cell and an animal cell that live in a symbiotic relationship, so they work like a little team. The plant cell that provides oxygen for the animal cell to survive. The animal cell in return provides carbon dioxide for the plant cell to survive. So like I said, they work like a team. Now these corals are very sensitive, alright? Now to show you how sensitive they really are, if you were to actually put your hand on one of those brain corals and come back in about 3 to 5 weeks, you're going to find the outline of your handprint embedded in that brain coral. Yeah, if you came back in about 3 to 5 months, that same piece of brain coral that you touched will probably now be dead, alright? Now here in Bermuda, we are very protective of our marine life. So we have a Conservation Act on our coral reefs. So if you were to damage, break, take, or get caught with any piece of coral, you can receive up to a $10,000 fine for having that piece of coral in your possession. Yeah. Now we also have a Conservation Act on the parrotfish. The parrotfish is very important to the marine ecosystem. Here in Bermuda, we call him the reef cleaner. Now you can find your parrotfish in all of your bright rainbow colors, pink, purple, blue, orange, green, yellow, all of those bright colors. We have about 5 or 6 species of parrotfish here in Bermuda, and they range in size anywhere between 3 inches to 5 feet. So they can get pretty big. Now they don't just get their name from their colors. They actually get it from their teeth, because their teeth actually form a little beak. So they use this beak to go around to the coral reefs, scrape all the algae off of the coral reef so that the algae doesn't suffocate and kill the coral reef. While they are scraping and crunching, they do happen to break off bits and chunks of that rock and that coral. They crush it up and it goes through their system and it puffs out the rear end is what? Any lucky guesses? Sand, that is correct. Yeah. So one average parrotfish is responsible for excreting up to 1,000 pounds of sand per year. Yeah, it's a lot of pooping, huh? Yeah, I know. Yeah. And up to 1 cubic ton of sand in it. See that big circle there? This is the top deck of the shipwreck. So it goes on an edge. Yeah, there you go. All right. Now, this is the shipwreck of the HMS Vixen. This was just one of 3 British ram vessels built in 1864. They built the Vixen, the Viper, and the Water Witch. Now, all 3 of these vessels, they were built out of iron and cladded with wood on top of that iron. Now, the wood that they decided to use is called teak wood. Anybody familiar with teak wood? Yeah, it's very beautiful wood, very, very strong, but also very, very heavy. Now, the Vixen itself was sent down to Bermuda to use as a coastal defense ship from the Queen of England. The top speed of it was about 8 to 10 knots, and that was because of those thick, 8-inch thick pieces of plank teak wood on the outside. So the top speed, like I said, was only about 8 to 10 knots. All the enemy boats it was actually trying to ram and catch were actually doing about 12 to 14 knots. So the Vixen still couldn't catch up to do any damage, so they decided to discontinue it as a coastal defense ship. They transported it up into dockyard where your cruise ships are, and they used it for a dormitory for the Irish convict laborers who were actually building dockyard at that time. Now, one night the boat caught a fire at the dock, and over 300 convicts that were on board unfortunately did perish in that fire. Now, the boat itself, it was totally destroyed, so they couldn't use it for anything else. So someone came up with a brilliant plan. They decided, let's take it out to the West Shipping Channel, sink it, stop these enemy boats from sneaking into this side of the island and launching their attacks. It was a pretty brilliant plan. The execution, not so brilliant. The person that they left in charge of sinking the boat and packing the dynamite, I believe he had about 5 or 6 more dark and stormies the night before than he should have had, and he must have found every piece of dynamite that he could find, and he packed it all in one spot right in the middle, and he blew a 30-foot gap in the middle of the boat. So the stern section went one way and sunk completely. The bow section went the opposite way, but it didn't sink completely. It actually rested itself right on top of a natural coral reef. And that is the only reason you can still see the bow of the shipwreck sticking out of the water. So once those boats steamed towards the shipping channel, they spotted the bow of this boat sticking out of the water, and thinking that the channel is blocked and they can't pass through. Once they got a little closer, they were able to see that 30-foot gap and pass right on through. So yet another failure for the Vixen. So they deemed it Bermuda's biggest failure. It failed as a shipwreck. Sorry, not a shipwreck. It failed as a dormitory. It also failed as a coastal defense ship, as well as a channel blocker. But in my opinion, is not entirely true. It does make for a pretty awesome glass bottom tour, don't you guys think?